Right, so I think we are going to be live here, and I'm just going to hit the refresh button and I'll post out this link. Hopefully I'll get the link in 1 second. And also I'll just check that the chat is working. So yeah, I've got that there. So we'll just go to the live studio and hit share and copy that link and paste that out. And I'll just hit close on that. And we'll just hit test as well, just to see that this is running. So test. And I can also, yeah, it's running, and also hit the like button, whatever. Let's get rid of that. Did that last time. Don't know if I can hit a button on that. Docs, stats, chat, get the chat back up. Okay, it's all back and running. Don't know if I can hit a like button on there without it prompting me. Okay, no, it's like log in, sign into YouTube. At gmail.com. Right, and basically, funnily enough, this is all about putting in passwords and stuff to hopefully get all of that working. Two-step verifications. It's a little bit annoying, but let's just get that done. And yes, it's me, all verified. Right, we're in. So, and just charge up some phones in the meantime, because I don't need the phone. Right, so we're back in. It's all there. I'll confirm recovery. No. Just I'll just close that out because I don't need that. And then do view docs and then chat. I wonder if that all works now. Send. There we go. Okay, interesting. Not what I wanted. Right, okay. Let's just, in that case, I probably didn't want to sign in, so I just leave that out. Chat, let's just see if that works now without that being on. Live chat and then test again. Hi. Right, okay, we're back. We're back and we're running. So, this session is going to be on custom functions in Google Sheets, which I can zoom in on a bit. So these custom functions in Google Sheets. So it's not Python, it's effectively JavaScript because the custom functions in Google Sheets. So in JavaScript, you'll kind of like see that from the syntax down below. I've never looked at this page, so it's a first time look. Like as any of you have seen, like in all of the videos that I've done, none of this is pre-recorded, it's all live. So I do a lot of live streams, and so all of the coding is live. If I fail, it's live. And even the recordings that I do that aren't live are actually live, so I never run over them where I'm an R, excuse the ums and ahs, but it's all live, and I'm probably thinking I am thinking in real time, not probably. So let's just go through and see what this is. But basically, I did have a play around with this in general, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to look through the documentation, and this is kind of like a perfect example, like another example, I guess, of what you would basically need to do in order to get this kind of thing working. And what am I actually talking about? Which is here, kind of like, I'll make a new sheet actually anyway, but here I've got a sheet, and I want to, there's loads of functions that I can have in here, and I've actually made one of these test functions myself, but I had to muddle it through, right? So here's how to not have to muddle it through. But one of the things is I made this test function, or like I want to do like the sum of all of these numbers over here. So I want to get that, and we see the sum down below is 100 because we can see that where the cursor is over there. So the sum of this array is 100. And if I can actually extend this to, yeah, I've got my coloration thing as well. I can do equals sum, and we see that this kind of like pops up, and I can sort of like tab into it, and then inside of it, it's got value 1, value 2, like, you know, all of the arguments. So these are the parameters, or we call the arguments in Python. So I'll use Python language, the arguments that go in, and then is like, you know, here's an example and an about and so forth, and it's kind of like nice and descriptive. And then we can do this sum. So I picked out sum squared, so let's just do sum because it's even easier. Not that this is very hard, so just that's the sum of the squares, but let's just do sum. And we can see already kind of like it's even hinting and picking up, open brackets. You know, I'll even do the autocomplete tab, right? And we get the 100, and we can see that it's pointing to this cell, and we knew that in here basically what had to go in here was an array, a list, a Python list, an array in JavaScript, I believe it is. So that's really useful. And then, you know, we can do all these other things. So equal, you know, even if I took like the sum square or whatever, which was the third one down. So this one here, sum of the squares, kind of like tab, and again, you know, it will just take the squares of all of these. I guess it should, I don't know if it'll get to 1,000. No, it won't get to 1,000, but it'll do sum of squares. So, but also we could do something like equals average, right? And we could we don't have to put in array, so we could put in like this. I guess we can get of these numbers over here like this, and hit return. And I'll just make sure that I haven't got my chat on here. So this is, so we can put in as many arguments as we want, or we can put in one list. There's a whole variety of various different things that we can do. I don't know how far we're going to get on this, but that's basically where we're going to sort of like get to. So that's great, and there's thousands of the damn functions. How do I get them? Here we are. Here's the function list, right? Here's the popular one: sum, average, count, max, and min. But then there's like all of these over here. We can see literally, oh, this is every function actually, so that's quite good. That's all functions available, but they're kind of like categorized. See, these are all our array functions. I haven't even been through some of these, so some of these are actually, they look like some good stuff. By column, groups, ranges by columns. Okay, there's lots of extra things that the good folk at Google have done on Google Sheets over the years. I feel like they've taken a lot of Excel and they have improved it in parts. Other parts, actually, Excel still is, you know, better, and it's probably the default thing for many things. But this is quite complete, and it's great for a web-based spreadsheet, basically. So there's all these functions, and there's a whole bunch of database functions. Like those of us that are familiar with Excel, you know, will have seen some of these. I've never really used them. The date functions I tend to use a bit more. Engineering things, again, maybe you'll use some of these, maybe you won't. It depends on what you're doing. Filter, financial, so I don't know, fair values. I've done a lot of financials because I was in finance. Next coupon date, things like that. Google functions, so an array formula, detect language, so and a couple of extra things again have popped up in it. Nonetheless, there's loads of these functions, right? There's like a whole arm and leg full of them. I don't know how many there are without kind of like checking. Maybe, I don't know, I could sort of like ask the question. Let's have a look. Actually, here we are with some of me asking something. How many functions are there available in Google Sheets? Question mark. Hit return. Let's just see, we might get something back. This is Claude AI, one of the many AIs, because now we don't need to Google things as much. There we go, over 400 built-in functions in Google Sheets. So there's a whole ton of stuff. And again, it tells you the main ones, and we've got some logical ones. So it's just a nice, good summary, actually. Let's have a little look at this, right? This is kind of like given to us out of the box. And these are, to a vast degree, like ones that you'll use all the time. And you may never need to go back to building your own functions, because like so long as you know all of these, you can get most of what you ever need without having to go to JavaScript, without having to code anything. But we are going to code, because what, for example, if I wanted to sort of like get the average of this, but throw out the two highest numbers, throw out the two lowest numbers. Again, there will be a stats thing for it, but do something else. So like take the average of the middle ones and then get the, take the square of the average of the middle ones, or something obtuse like that. I wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily now be able to do that with a custom function. I could do it from a composite of different functions. So sort of like I could, I don't know, do maxes and mins and stuff on the ranges and sort of like filter it down and get the average of the middle bits. So there are ways to do it, spreadsheeting ways to do it, but an alternative way and very, very, very powerful is user-defined functions. And actually also not just the user-defined functions, that they can do that, but maybe you want to go and get a web page or something and sort of like pull down a URL and a particular value from it, and it would be a bit clunky to do it via the web, that's all. So yeah, that's kind of like it there. So let's just go and have a look then in that case. So we'll go back to the custom functions in Google Sheets and see what it's all about. And I haven't read any of this yet. So Google Sheets offers hundreds of built-in functions. In fact, we know that it's 400 or over 400, like average, sum, VLOOKUP, and so forth. All very useful. When these aren't enough for your needs, you can use Google Apps Script to write some custom functions. And I did write a custom function because I've got one here where it says 0. I wonder if that's, and I called it my function, but oh yeah, and we can even see the pop-up and example and so forth about it. So that's quite nice. I managed to get one working, which is good. And I did that off of a video, so do this. You can do that off of this video, but I'm actually going to go through the documentation now in the video, like the full documentation, so we get a much better understanding of what it is. Because the video that I did it from, they're great, by the way. A lot of these videos, I'm sure this video will be great too. But sometimes or somewhere, the guy that was writing it just said, well, just do at custom function and that's enough to tell it a function. He didn't even say that, just said just put that in. And like if I didn't copy that in, it wouldn't have worked, and I struggled and I mucked around and I got it working. It's partly because I haven't used JavaScript for a long time, but whatever that is. So change the coloring. Okay, right. So anyway, where were we up to on there? We can use a custom function, so to convert meters to miles. So app script to write functions, say to convert meters to miles, for example, or fetch live content from the internet. So is this one meters to miles? I don't know. No, it's not. So we can even, I guess, I'm going to open it up in a new tab, but I'm presuming that this link is going to be a function that turns meters to miles or something. Let's have a look. No, yeah. No, that's not turning meters to miles. So maybe we can even do that if we wanted to. Now, we don't have to turn meters to miles in a custom bespoke function, because all you have to do is sort of like something like how many meters are there in a mile, question mark, there we go, and then we do something like this, which is meters and miles, and then whatever we have in here, we're going to have miles is equal to, and then there we go, 1 mile is this many meters. So whatever this number is, this one is, so we're going to go here. I just copied that and do equals this number times by whatever was in that cell. And so if we've gone 100 meters, then we've traveled 0.6 miles. So we could do it spreadsheeting wise. We don't have to do this in a custom function, but instead we can do it if we want to. So, and I thought that was going to go there, and it sent us to this obtuse link that doesn't do it, because it'd be nice to be able to just copy and paste the code out. But it's not going to be a problem because it looks quite easy. So follow along with this. If follow along with this because it should be easy. So all fetch live content from the internet. I don't know if this one's going to have some script that fetches live content from the internet. Let's have a look. No, it's a little bit annoying when it kind of points to things that aren't relevant because this is talking about arrays or something. So yeah, fail. Oh, here it is though. Hold on. No, is that because that's got some URLs in there? So maybe it does do. Maybe I don't know. Am I over aggressive saying that it doesn't work? Anyway, we'll get that. We'll try one or two of these. You know, we'll try and do the meters to miles thing. So getting started, we'll do a getting started. And this one here, I've just called it delete me. And I might actually, I just wonder if I should make a new Google Sheets and kind of like, if I make a new Google Sheets and call it app examples or JavaScript examples, I might do that. So I'm in my JavaScript folder and I could make a Google Sheet in here somewhere. I haven't touched JavaScript for a long time, JavaScript. So I might actually make an entire folder for this. So I will do something like new folder, and I'm in Windows by the way, Google Sheet, and then of course we're talking about JavaScript in Google Sheets, and then something like new Google Sheets, which is going to launch up a new Google Sheets, so we're starting from fresh, and some JavaScript examples. There we go, it's as easy as that. And I guess if I was to hit refresh on this little bit here, so getting Google working in Windows, well, I don't know, it's okay. You know, here it is, it's popped up. It creates a G sheet, a Google Sheet. I could have gone to my Google Suite and created a Google Sheet from there, but I've done it this way, so JavaScript examples is there. And so we've got our new sheet that's running. I don't see any comments saying that if that's too difficult or not, so I'm assuming that's okay. And so I might even close this one up because now we're starting from fresh over there. So you know what I probably will do. So I won't close it yet. But there we go. We've got an example. So getting started, custom functions are created using using JavaScript. If you're new to JavaScript, Code Academy offers you some great courses for beginners and so forth, but maybe you don't want to pay for a course. So this is a free course by someone who's I'm going to claim to be an expert. The reason why is because I have coded a lot in JavaScript previously and in Node.js, but I haven't touched it for quite some time. So I'm a rusty expert. But I'm very familiar with a lot of this stuff, so follow along. Hopefully I won't die and burn completely. So if you don't know how to write JavaScript and don't have time to learn, check the add-on store whether someone else has already built in some custom functions that you need. I'm a great believer in building all of kind of like my own things. Not like you don't want to rebuild the wheel, but like if you don't have any kind of like backgrounding on it, then you're really going to struggle later on basically. So I'm not sure about this don't have time to learn, because like I would say more a case of that you might want to change that to appraise the market or praise the tools that are available to the user, the user at any point in time. But there is this store. I guess we could have a quick look at the store, although I want to jump into the code. Does it send us to the store? I don't know. I don't necessarily see it. Any store things here. Again, is it creating a custom function? Yeah, fine. Okay. So no, there's no store here. So again, a dead link to click on by the looks of it. Let's just get back because I'm opening up too many tabs left, right, and center. So it's becoming a bit annoying opening up failed tabs. That's not the agenda here. So how do we create this function? And here it says to create a function, create or open a spreadsheet. So you just need to have any spreadsheet that's available in Google Sheets, and kind of like, you know, I could have done over here Google Sheets like that, and it would launch up a whole bunch of sheets that are available, you know, of stuff that I can do. and then to like create my own new sheet down here, but I did it a different way. So whatever, you just need to have created a spreadsheet. So create or open a spreadsheet in Google Sheets, and then in the menu you go to extensions and app scripts. So it's relatively okay. Delete any code in the script editor. I didn't do that when I did it, so I'm going to start again from fresh. For the double function above, simply copy. Okay, fine, right. So let's just go there and see what's in here. So you go to extensions. This is where it exists. So you've got all of your other menus where you open, import, download, email, whatever you want to do. And over here we've got this extensions one, and this is what it's talking about, which is its app script. There are other things that I have built in other sheets, and like you can record macros as well, which is quite helpful. I used to do a lot of this in Excel, and it would create the VBA for you. So here it creates the JavaScript for you, and then you can go and delete all of the redundant stuff. That was my fastest tactic for doing anything. Just record a macro and delete stuff, and use the good bits afterwards, and iterate towards really neat, tidy piece of code as you sort of like learn. And you use a robot and you learn at the same time. We've got ChatGPT and other tools that are available, so I'll be doing a few things that are more powerful. But anyway, when I do click on this, it's got add-ons as well, but we haven't got any add-ons. So I'll click on app script, right? And launches up this thing, and you have to wait for 3 seconds or whatever. So it's got untitled project. I wonder if I have to title the project, because I launched that from here. I was expecting it to say JavaScript examples. When I went on this one and did extensions and app script, I'm just wondering what project if you gave it a name. It says recorded macros, delete me. Ah, because it's got recorded macros. Okay, so it's almost like, do I rename the whole project? But anyway, let's go back and have a look at this. So here it says select the menu, extend apps. Okay, app script. Delete any code in the script editor, and then okay, fine. So we can just copy this code snippet here. And it says delete any code in the script, but there is no code in particular apart from function, my function, but we can just paste this one in here. Right, now when you declare a function in JavaScript, that's how you do it. You just say function, and then that's the function name. So, and this is the important bit, which is, or not the important bit, but like it's sort of like implicit in the docs. But this thing is going to show up in the actual documentation. So it says untitled project. So I wonder if it tells us if we need to save it at any point. Okay, click to save. And now you can use the custom function. But I don't know what we need to name our project as, or can we give it any name? So if I hit save, right, it just saved it as untitled project. Interesting. So, but anyway, saying that we can do that. And what does that mean, right? It means this, which we can go here, and then I can hit equals, and then double, right? And we can see here immediately that this pops up and it says multiply an input value by 2. So tab in, and it's got input. And if I hit this down arrow, it's got other stuff as well. Look, multiplies value by 2, input, and then the number to double, and then number, what it is. So we're actually entering a number. So in JavaScript, you don't have the concept of an integer and a float, but you've got a number. That's quite nice. So all numbers are just numbers in JavaScript. I actually find that quite useful. Although, yeah, there are times when you want integers and things. So Python, uses ints and floats, and so does C++ and other things, but JavaScript doesn't. So anyway, input, and so we could put in sort of like 10, close brackets, and we're going to get back 20 if it works. There we go, 20, and it works. So I'm just going to name this project. I don't even know what we'll call it, but, well, let's think of a name for a project. Over here, let's have I don't know what we would call it, because it didn't mention anything about names. And I would have thought we might have automatically been at least given a default name or something. So I'm just going to call this our custom, I'll call it my custom function. I don't know why, it's probably more intuitive, because my custom functions. There we go, we've renamed it now. So And I don't know if I've just closed it on purpose. If when I go here and I go to like extensions, app script, I presume it should automatically go to that project, and presumably if I've named a project that I can, like in our Google Suite, we should be able to maybe import some of this stuff elsewhere. Now, one thing to notice is this, and I don't know about it completely, like, but I wonder if it's type sensitive, so I can't remember for JavaScript. Double, right? So now we've got like, ooh, it hasn't put it in red. Double underscore me. There we go. Oops. So I'm wondering why this made itself to be red and that one didn't. But let's just do this then in that case. I'll do that actually. Double underscore me, Control S. So hello, and okay, so that comes out in capitals, and right. I think that's the difference between constants and, well, at least the Pythonic equivalent of that. So, you know, someone jump in an interlude, but the difference between that will be in Python, if you specify everything in uppercase, it's recognized as like a constant, and if it's not in uppercase, then it will be a something like that. So it's taking this as a constant, but I'm just checking the case sensitivity. This thing should work. So if I go back here and do equals double, might have to get in there. No, I can double click on it. Equals double, like that. Okay, nothing popped up there. Right, first error or question. So, but we'll get to it. That's good in a way. The reason why things didn't pop up there was this over here needed to be there, and that's exactly kind of like what we're going to get to see this, which is where this kind of like sort of like tutorial video differs, because I'm doing it all from fresh, whereas you might not have seen this from fresh before. And I might do a Control Plus just to zoom in a bit so that the code's a bit more visible. I forgot about invisible code, or things being too small, but we're talking about this bit here. Now when I hit save again, Control S, go back and do equals double, we can now see the double me over here, which is cool. But I'm going to do one more thing, which is I'm just going to go over here and turn it into double, uppercase and lowercase. So Control S to save it and go back and equals double, right, just to see. And like, it's case sensitive. So these two things are identified as completely different functions in JavaScript. So I can do double, 10, again, and 20. I don't get any naming collisions, so that's perfectly fine. Although let's not name things the same name anyway. It's just one of the things. Something else to mention is, you might have seen me do like double me. You know, this is called camel case. Snake case. I believe that the convention in JavaScript is to do something like that. It's called double. It's called camel case. So, but whatever. Again, let's just continue to go through the docs. So let's see what we've actually done now. Blah blah blah. We've created a function. Does it tell us anything about this? Getting a custom function from Google Workspace Markets. Okay, you can go to the Google Workspace and get custom functions, and it'd be useful to see this. So I do actually want to see this, because I want to see what is in the functions, because I want to steal some code or get good ideas at least about what code we can and can't do, and examples. I tried to do open a new tab. I wonder if it's finally going to take us somewhere that's useful. This one's opening up is it opening up a spreadsheet? GPT Workspace. Oh, I've got to do a video on that one, that's for sure. Maybe even take a look at it. GPT for Google Sheets. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more things that are available now. So actionable AI. I'm tempted to download it, but I won't divulge for yet. Okay, leave that out for a second. It is pointing us. I want create or open a spreadsheet in Google Sheets add-ons. Okay, getting a custom function from the Google Workspace. Okay, this is about getting custom functions. Click on install. Okay, we want to build these, not install them. So there's tons of those custom functions, but it's more about how do we create our own one of these custom functions that we can use. Okay, these things have been created by some pretty smart people as well. So using a custom function, once you've written a custom function or installed one from the Google Workspace Market, it is easy to use as a built-in function. So click the cell where you want to use a function and then equals. Okay, fine, which is just what I kind of like did. So maybe I jumped the gun, but basically everywhere here, like where I wanted to use that double function, to do equals, and now I can do double, and we can use it as our user defined thing in a way that we could have used all of the other 400 functions that were available to us. So that's quite nice. I'm just going to go back here. I'm going to remove this double here because I'm not a fan of everything being uppercase, but I can see why it would be, maybe. And I'm going to, for now, just because it's quite identifiable, stick to that, because when I just go here, you see the hash name, by the way, because I removed the functions, is equal double now. It's just a bit like identifiable that anything that we've used snake case on, because it's not used here in the Google Sheets as the function things, we can identify ones a little bit easier. I used to put like DL in front of the functions or something like that, just so that to know that mine are, to identify my functions from the other worksheet functions. But again, we'll try and look into some of that. So we can still do the doubling of numbers. We just change the name of it, and there we go. It's 20 again. Now we could have put in 10 in here, and then gone back here and done, and then there we go. Point to cell 10, and it's still doubling it. So now if we do 11, this will go to 22, and 12, this will go to 24. Now, one of the things that you noticed, I hope you're noticing, is if I type 15, it says loading for about half a second, and it does it, and I don't like that, because if I did this 15 and then equals this times by 2, which is also doubling it, and I did, in fact I'll put this one equals to that one, so I only have to change one cell now, and I'll call this the input cell over here in select color. Did that, and also, is that the background, or that's the text? That's the background there. So that's like our input cell. If I change this one to 20, we can see that this one here was instant, where this one took half a second to run. So like, the observation again, which is kind of like keep your eye on this value here. But when I change this to like 21 and hit return, we can see that hanging, whereas this one over here had an instantaneous change. So if I go to 22, one of them takes a lot longer than the other one, and we don't like that behavior, because that looks like it's going to, I don't know, be potentially slow things down. That's all. It's like it's exporting it somewhere, doing a process, and coming back. That's what it, at least in my mind, looks like. Initial investigation of it. Let me just remove those lines, and we're back. Okay, but anyway, let's continue. That's what we do. So we know how to create a function. Well, we don't fully know what's in it, but we'll see. Even if it doesn't, I'll go through it. Guidelines for custom functions. Before writing your own custom function, there are a few guidelines to know. Naming. Okay. In addition to the standard conventions for naming JavaScript functions, be aware of the following. The name of a custom function must be distinct from names of the built-in functions, so we can't use some. I wonder what happens if we use some, right? So we go back here and we turn it into, I should make another one like that, but this time I'll call it sum, right? And our sum is going to double it. So I'm going to hit save. I don't even know what's going to happen, but if I go here and now I do equals sum, we see that there's two of them. So it doesn't look like it's conflicted actually. I'll take that number again, hit return. It doesn't look like it worked. It didn't multiply it by 2. So, and our sum function took an input and multiplied it. So it's kind of like it looked like it failed. In fact, what it did was, yes, it did. I'm quite sure that if I was to have taken this and this one, yeah. So our user defined function has been tried, I don't know, it got overwritten by the inbuilt function. So naming conflicts, we can't do that. That's the first thing. So we can sort of like tick this one off. Make sure that you don't name your function something that's already been named, because if you do name something that's already been named, it's going to behave not in the way that we expected, because it's going to behave in the way that the inbuilt one. The inbuilt one takes precedence. The name of a custom function cannot end with an underscore, which denotes a private function in AppScript. Okay, interesting to know. So we've now got the concept of public and private, which means that this here now is a private function. I was hoping that the colorization of this would change, but I guess now if I hit save and go back and do delete there equals sum, we don't see the sum underscores. We don't see 2 of them, so it's private. So that's quite useful. So over here, we're going to say that this one is an example of a private function, and I'm going to call it like double me helper. Just for example, this underscore here created a privatization. I'm quite happy to see an underscore at the end, because again, like having done like enough videos on Python, we see a lot of this, the double underscore, you know, something, and then double underscore in Python. And the underscores, although they're public, they're by convention, they are, it's supposed to be private, as in like, you know, you're not supposed to be touching them, although Python is like adult that way, it says you can touch them. Here, it actually, this underscore here privatized it, made the function private. An example of a private function ended with underscore. I don't think there's any rules for how long like a line of code can be in JavaScript. Again, like, you know, the PEP conventions are that it's like 80 characters long, as in you could have things that are too like wide, wherever. But so underscore made a private function. Great. That's actually very helpful to know. Like, when are we going to use private functions? Like, what does that even mean? To like someone that hasn't used it, well, it means basically that I could make lots of these functions here, and this function at the top can call the other private functions, and this would all be, I'll call it clutter. The other they'll be doing lots of work, but maybe we only wanted to see sort of like the result function, so I don't want to see all of the other jumble down below. So that's useful to know. And that's extremely helpful. So I might just pause this for a second. Be 1 second. Okay. Right, so we're back. The interlude of a doorbell. I should actually do, I've seen in one video where it was so long that you do training sessions in there in the middle of it. So this function is private to the code to this module. Right, it's not seen outside of this module. Now, I don't even know what that means yet, but I'm presuming that we can add other sort of like modules. You can like add a file and there'll be another one. And whatever we do in this function is not visible in our other module. Maybe we can export it, maybe we can't. I don't know yet. So let's just go on. Capitalization does not matter, although the names of spreadsheet functions are traditionally uppercase, right? Now, I don't know. Sorry, the name of I forgot this one here. The name of a custom function must be declared with the syntax function my function, not var my function equals new function. So those of us who are better JavaScripters, and like I am someone who's forgotten JavaScript, but like you could do this is how you could create a function, but we're told we don't do it this way. I actually have never done it this way, so I'm quite cool with this. But one thing that we did have in JavaScript is the arrow functions, which I believe is, isn't it, this is the syntax for like an arrow function, and here we could put in A and then B, and then we can do some code inside of that. So that looks like it's sort of like viable. I don't know how we'll fit this into here, but that looks like it works, if that makes sense. I could hit save. I wonder actually what happens if there's like a syntax error somewhere. So like if it breaks everything and equals double me. The nice thing about this is, even if I think I typed in me, no it doesn't. Okay, so double me, right? Again, point it up here, return. So that one looks like it works. I just wonder if I put something in here that's complete rubbish, nonsense code here, like this is broken code, hit save, and oh look, syntax errors, unexpected identifier, code line 12, so forth. Doesn't like it. Massive error message coming up. Great. It gives you the ability to copy it, probably because you're going to Google it or chat bar it, Google Bard it, or Claude AI it. But I wonder if it hasn't broken anything here. F2, this one, and then 100, and then just like go there. Okay. It seems to have worked, even though there was a big fat error right in the middle. You know, with the big underscores. And does this linter? It does show code action. Ignore this error. Disable checking for this. Okay. Anyway, we do get a red thing here, like big fat red thing as well. So it's good. It's not the best, but it's certainly good enough to be able to detect enough errors and things. But anyway, this was handled okay. Maybe we you can or can't use this at some point. So we go back. I think I might stick to this kind of convention, which is my function like that. So we can define the the inbuilt functions. I've got to make sure that I get the naming right. These are inbuilt and these are user defined. Our user defined functions, we're going to use camel case, and inbuilt functions use uppercase, like fully uppercase. So just over here, we might put something like, again, this is a multi-line comment, but probably worthwhile having. Convention, which is this. You don't need to be doing this all of the time, but basically something like inbuilt. Right, just going to get rid of the spam phone calls, which is really annoying. Right, talk and then off. Everyone who's got a landline in the UK every now and again gets a spam phone call, and that's exactly what that one was. Inbuilt, so some inbuilt functions use upper case user defined functions use camel case. Right, there we go. We will not be using snake case. Okay, they're the three kind of more, I guess, well, these two are the popular sort of casings for typing. Take your pick as to what you want to do, but I was using this one, but now I'm going to, just because the convention is there, I will do this now, which is going to break our function at least. And also here, this will be double me helper. There we go. So this underscore now literally is quite clear. So maybe that's a good reason in itself. Every language has its convention and like the way that you type it, and like experienced coder afterwards coming and having a look at this is much clearer to them. They straight away to their eye they'll pick out the underscores because there's no underscores in the language naturally. So I hit save here, and I'm going to have to change our function over here to now double me. We see it's been errored out now because it doesn't find it. So it'd now be that, which is double me. Right, and we're back to normal. So we're all back. So let's continue. Capitalization does not matter, although the names of spreadsheets are strategic. Okay, so that's it basically. We can now define we know what our functions are relative to what the Google Sheets inbuilt functions are. So arguments, like a built-in function, a custom function can take arguments as inputs. If you call your function with a reference to a single cell as an argument, so like what we did there with our double function, the argument will be the value of the cell. If you call your function with a reference to a range, oops, I just clicked on something there, so let me just go backwards, wherever it was, right. Yeah, if you call your function with a reference to a range of cells like this, so A1 to B10, the argument will be a two-dimensional array of cells, of cell values, for example, in a screenshot. So let's just do this, which is, okay, we'll make this then in that case and see what it, I guess, I interpreted by the app script like this. Sample code from the double would need to be modified to accept an array. Okay, so maybe we'll go through that because I definitely know that I want to be doing arrays at some point, but basically what that's actually referring to is if we've got like 1, 2, 3, right, and we want to double all of them, if we did equals double me, so we can take our double me function and try to put this array in here and hoping that we'll get some sort of array back or something like that, it's failing. I wonder if we do equals array formula and then inside we put our array formula so double me and then put in our set of numbers. I don't know if that will work or not. No, it didn't work. So yeah, that didn't work. The result was not a number. I wonder, is there something else that you could do? Array formula enables the display of values returned from an array into multiple rows. I don't know. I don't know if that will work or not. Well, that works, but then you're only like we did an array formula on that, so maybe you could do lots of double me's, but that would defeat the purpose anyway. So even if we was going to do that, that wouldn't be the greatest of things to do. Anyway, it's returned hash NA. Okay, we won't worry about that because we want to do arrays the proper way. So equals double me on this I call it a list, but we're going to call it an array, but equal is going to fail because we want to get a whole list in here, and that's what it's talking about. So, and in fact, I should really do this 2D list because it actually gives you, I guess it's highlighting gives you 1, 3, so it's doing it by rows and then by columns. So I should actually do something like that, which is 1, 1, 2, 2, and then 3, say 3, so something like that, or you know, we'll do 1, 2. We just double all of those, or 1, 10, 2, 20, and 3, 30. There we go, and we can do equals double me on all of those, so like that, and this is giving us this object back, which is 110, and then 220, and then 330. So it's giving us back three arrays. It's going to be an array of arrays. That's what it's supposed to be giving us back, but it's going to fail. It's going to give us number because it doesn't know what to do at this point in time. So we go back here. Custom function arguments can be deterministic. That is built-in spreadsheet functions that return different result each time they calculate, such as now and round. Okay. Okay, so we're told that these must be deterministic. Again, I want to see if it actually points to deterministic. Okay, so this gives us a Wikipedia link of deterministic. But basically, if you do now or round, well, now needs to recompute every time. So that's potentially one of the slownesses. I don't know if that's true or not, but basically, certain things will always be recalculated. So the now function is always recalculate every time you hit, like, I guess it's, I don't know if it's F9 to recalculate the sheet. So if I do equals now, this one here, and then sort of close brackets, we get a now thing over there. And I don't even know how to rerun this stuff. Is it here? No, is that filter? Create a new filter? No, we don't do that. It's control. No. Extensions data. In Excel, you've got the calculate now thing, but I don't know if you've got it here. But calculate. No, I don't know if there's a calculate sheet, but if I do a recalculation somehow, so we'll put it this way, take this, and then I'm just going to paste its value into here. Value. So we already saw it update, so straight away, the minute something happens that this updates. But if I do equals this one minus this one, they'll never be the same. But also every time we change a number, we see that this is, if we look here in this little box, every time I change this number over here, that this number is going to change because the now function is deterministic. So this one changes and it causes a change in this one. So that's what deterministic means. So if I go here now and type in 23, we'll see the numbers change. Like these two things that I pointed to, they're going to keep changing. So 24. So these ones are always recalculated, and we are told that our custom functions are deterministic, whereas something like this here, which is equal to that, and this one here, which is equal to double of this one, they're not recalculated, so they are not deterministic. So some things don't need to be calculated, but we're told that that's how this are. So custom functions must be deterministic. And I go there, let me just delete the commenty bits again. In computer science, a deterministic algorithm is an algorithm that, given a particular input, will always produce the same output. So here on our thing, it's not quite the description that I guess I was looking for, but such as now and rand, because they're producing different outputs all the time, so must be deterministic. Okay. Oh, okay. Such as now or rand are not allowed as arguments to a custom function. Okay, because that would break the function basically, which is basically this. I never thought of this, but here's an example, which is equals rand, right? Rand for random numbers. Okay, so we get a random, it generates a random number, and we might generate some more random numbers. And notice that, you know, this cell keeps on changing, right? But in particular, if I did average here, let's just do the average of, well, I actually did select those numbers straight away, so I was silly, average of those. So if this was deterministic, or is it not deterministic? These were, every time that this changed, these would be invoked. These would invoke a change, and it would keep on changing, and we go into this like infinite calculation loop. So I couldn't do, I think, in fact, I couldn't do something like this, I believe, or equals double. I wonder if I can double me on this over here like that. It throws an error. It doesn't allow a random function, like a non-deterministic function, to go in this as something that continuously updates. And I presume that, so I could do this equals this times 2. That's perfectly fine in the sheet, but our user-defined function doesn't let it. It says this function is not allowed. In fact, here it is. This, I'll zoom in, Control plus if I can. Yep, I can. So maybe I'll remove some columns there, delete one column just so we can see the error message here. But it says this function is not allowed to reference a cell with now rand array, or rand between. There we go, right? So again, I could sort of like double this time by going equals this one times by 2. I'm allowed to do that, but I can't do equals double me of that cell. It throws this little error message. It doesn't let you do that because it would go into this infinite cycle, and it would, it'd burn the processor. Yeah, it's sort of like looping back on itself basically, and that's how a function of how spreadsheets work. I'll leave those errors there. Purposeful error. There we go. Right. So that's some usage of it. It's good to know as well. That's very helpful. This is a massively, like, I'm familiar with this from Excel VBA, like 10 and 20 years ago. This was a massive feature and a big issue, and things like how like the user had to like navigate around that or use it to their advantage. So because sometimes you wanted to force a function to update, and you actually stick now inside of it to make it like keep completely recalculating, but other times you don't want it to do that because you don't want a feedback on yourself. So that's some sort of infinite calculating loop. Now, return values. Okay, let's see. Okay, every custom function must return a value to dispatch. Okay, so when we look at our function, it's referring to this bit. So if you don't have return, it's going to fail. Now, I don't know what would happen for a private function, because if the private function's never called, will it throw some sort of hissy fit? Another helper, there we go, another helper function. Right, but we're not going to return anything. Control S, saving project, it all looks fine, and I don't think it throws any error messages. So if we do equals double me over here in control return, yeah, it's all perfect. Error loading data, that's interesting. Or did it have, I'll just do that again, equals double me. Okay, didn't throw that error loading mess. Okay, fine. So it's all fine. It's all hunky-dory, so long as it's not called by the looks of it. So, yeah, let's continue then. I'll leave that one there, but we'll put a little comment here, which is a custom function must have a return value. I guess it's called a return value, isn't it? Let's have a look. Every yeah, must return a value. Okay, must. Okay, have a return statement, I'll call it. Right, there we go. So let's continue then. I just put return in capitals, but I think that's okay. We get that if a custom function returns a two-dimensional array of values, the values overflow into the adjacent cells as long as these cells are empty. Okay. If this would cause the array to overwrite existing cells, then the custom function will throw an error message. We can't know that anyway. I'm just wondering how I can demonstrate that with what function, but there's some sort of array function, something that gives you like an array back. But basically, like it happens a lot in Excel because now you've got the array formulas in Excel and they return you like dynamic arrays. And if, like for example, you had sort of like hello here and that this returned you something that was this long, so that many cells. If it returned you something that was this long, but you had something in there that was over here, so like goodbye, that was interrupting the range, so this range gets destroyed, it's like interrupted over here, so that comes to a break, and then it will throw you like an error message here. It'll be error, right? Because you're trying to overwrite existing cells and it's protecting the user from harming themselves is what it would be doing. So that's what that's referring to. So that's cool. I think we understand, but we can maybe manufacture an example if we get to that point of doing it. So that's kind of like it, I think. For example, on optimizing. Okay, fine. A custom function cannot affect cells other than those it returns a value to. So it can't sort of like write onto another cell. That's very VBA-ish. So that's quite cool. We know about that. In other words, a custom function cannot edit arbitrary cells. So, and I guess we're going to go into some of this because I did do some of this. I don't want to edit our custom function. What I do want to do though is actually test out an array. So we'll call this one. This isn't going to be a helper function anymore. Return array. Right. And then we want to return. So it takes in no argument at the moment. It's waiting for an argument, but we're going to, I wonder if we can just have no input. It's prompting us for, it's prompting us for an input. We haven't even spoken about this yet. I'm just going to see if the docs start talking about this. Autocomplete. Okay. No, it will talk about this. So I'll shut my mouth for a second and not go through that. But I'm just going to leave this. I'm going to, oops. I'm just going to do this for now, right? I'm going to attempt to return an array. I don't even know what an array looks like in JavaScript. So let's just get, or how to manifest an array. Just to make sure that I get it right. Array in, it's going to be the square brackets. I think I do know how to do it, a job. I just want to actually return. I'm just going to attempt to do this while it's thinking, which is something like this: 1, 2, and then here, maybe, oops, Control Z, that, which I did the curly brackets, Control Z again, just the square brackets, and then comma, 10, 20. Oops, and those are supposed to be in brackets. So like this is a list of lists. I'm hoping that I believe that should be fine. Like we're going to be spitting back an array. This is like an array. So if I now hit save and go here and then just do equals return array, right? And it's like close it there. I wonder if it's going to return back. Didn't return anything back. I was hoping to see a whole bunch of values come back. Now, that's got this in here. 1. Well, okay. That's a return array. So didn't do anything. Let's just go back here and have a look why custom functions return the input multiplied by 2. This is now going to an array that we made up. Right, it's going to return an array that we made up. And this isn't going to be called double number anymore, but param. I'm just going to put in a parameter, just to, I don't know, just a number of no use. There we go, just to make sure that maybe it needs something to go in here. So sort of like if I put in 1, there we go. So that will sort of like keep it happy. Oops, sorry, over here, which is right, of type number. Let me z. How many times? Right, inputs. Okay, that's what it was called. Input. Right, it doesn't do anything with input. It's literally not doing anything. Although maybe we could put input times 2 here. There we go. So that's our new list that hopefully we're getting back. I don't know if I have to put the semicolon here to make it work. So I'm going to keep all of the syntax now. And this is not a private function anymore, because we're not talking about private functions. So custom function, okay, this is just, we're going to return an array. I'm just editing some of the doc strings here, and this is must have a return statement. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll hit Control S, see if we get anything back this time, which is return array. But now, if I do return array, it wants some sort of input, and I'll put in 10, close brackets. I don't know if it's going to spit anything back out. No, it hasn't done. So I'll just put something here, because I don't know why it hasn't given us something back yet. There should be something just below. And why does it not give us anything back? Let's just do this then, which is one list like this. The way to one way of debugging things is to just get everything to the minimum format. So yes, I'll do that. Keep on removing items until it works. F2 return. No, that didn't work either. So let's just go back to Control S. Ah, hold on. Is that because I had a return array the whole time? Why is there syntax error? Okay. I think that may be why. F2 return. Okay, that gave us 20. I'm not even sure if I had, but I had return. I don't know if I had return array. So let me just try that again. 5, that. There we go. And hit save there. Go over here. And there we go. 520. Perfect. It is working. That was me. I wish that more people were watching, because someone might have pointed that out. So I had a massive typo the whole time. So I'm going to put this list into a list, and then put 1, 2, close it there, and then comma that. So it's now a list of lists. So if I hit save, go back here, I wonder if, yeah, straight away it goes in, right? So it's returning us this array back, which is quite cool, because so I'm going to make this a bit longer now, which is like that, and times by 5 here, so I don't know, 10, right? And then we'll make another one of these as well. Makes that again, and instead of times it by 5, we'll times it this time by 10, and we'll even double this and say 20, right? And hit save. Go back here to our sheet, and when it does a recalculation, now we get this array. And what it was talking about before was, if I go and bang in something here, so I'll do it an example, which is here. I've got hello over there and world. Okay, but now I go along and I do this return array thing. So return array also equals return array, like that. And then I put in my number quite happily, so like, 2, and hit return, and we get this reference. And it says an array result was not expanded because it would overwrite data in F24. It's really clear about this. Here's F24, right? This array was basically this size, and we literally had data here blocking it, like in the middle of the array, and it's telling us like, and if there wasn't any hello, it would be in world. So like, even if I said, right, I'm going to go fix that, so delete hello, we still got a reference error because it's something in F25, so the next line below. So if I delete that one, now it works, it's happy. So fantastic. If I do Control Z again to undo it, it goes back. So that's what it's referring to, like with the array formulas. Fantastic, because I've done 2 things there. I figured out how to get an array formula working in Google Sheets quite quickly. I quite like this. It's really nice. It's very convenient. You can certainly use this. It's got loads and loads of use cases. And also to be able to demonstrate that example. So in fact, I might keep that there, which is that. And I might kind of like highlight that area over here. Right. Where again it's a purposeful. I'm going to put purposeful error where I'm like literally demonstrating errors. Purposeful error, like all over. So, and this one here as well is, it's like purposeful error. We put them in on purpose. Notice every time I do this, we're still updating over here because our now function is keeps on changing. Our time keeps updating. Also, our random numbers, our list of random numbers keeps changing, so that this number here, the average of the random numbers, keeps changing. So let's go back again. I might do a repost onto, let me just do that actually. I'm just going to do a quick repost on Twitter. So in fact, I'll do a repost like this. Repost. I want to do quote. We are currently live and in session here. Hit return. So we're live and in session. Still going. If that screen is, let me minimize it a bit. There we go. I want to see if there's any viewers. Okay, fine. So where are we on this? A custom function cannot affect cells other than that. Okay, yes. I think we need to get round to that. Like, what does that mean? Because I don't know how to. Sorry, I have edited cells, but I can't remember, so I'd have to record a macro for it, and I don't want to get into that yet. I want to get to the end of this first before I get to that. So it's kind of like, so I want to remember this somewhere. I don't know if I can in here come back to it. So insert, I kind of want to insert not cells really, but a drawing, an image, but I don't want to. It's a bit ugly doing it like this, like a text box. Are we allowed to do text boxes here? Search the menus. No, it doesn't give us a text box option. So what I will do is insert, a bit ugly doing it this way, drawing. Rename, and then basically here, this is, I don't like this about the Google Sheets. It's a bit annoying. I understand why it's there, but you can't put your own text. You can't put a text box straight into the document. I don't want that little thing to just have that there, and so like hit save and close, and we've got like our text box somewhere there. Not the greatest, but it's text. I mean, okay, it's useful and it's not useful, but basically I want to get back to this. So let's put this as a reminder, and I think we can fill it sort of like, there we go. No, didn't. Control Z on that. Click on that. Can we fill it? No, not that way. Edit, assign. No, that's just filling Control Z. So that's. Can we format this? No, edit. Probably not. The way to fill it is probably doing. This is the annoying bit about it, is you can't like naturally change things on it very quickly. But if I did want to fill color, kind of like, there we go. Right, that's really ugly. Save and close. Doesn't matter. Right, it's that. And shrink it down. Right. So we'll get back to that. I'm quite happy that it's ugly in a way, because it sort of like reminds us to get back to it. Oh, it's too ugly. Don't like it. Edit. So over on there, or our text at least. Oh yeah, there we go. Highlight color, text color. Is there no text background? Oh, this is really annoying. Okay. Fill. Well, we'll keep fill transparent again. Okay, fill transparent, and we'll change our. That's not even that. Can we change our text color here? Text color. There we go. Okay, we'll just have to do something like that. Can't see that. Red. There we go. So I think that's kind of like the best we've got at the moment. I'll just hit save and close. It's fine. So we've got our thing up here that we can come back to. We'll refer to that later on. So let's get back onto it, which is custom functions. A custom function. Okay. A custom function must return within 30 seconds. Have we done this one? Yeah, can't affect the cell. So we're going to get back to that. We've coloured it in. A custom function must return within 30 seconds. If it does not, the cell will display an error, internal error, executing the custom function. So that means that you can't run something that's complicated enough to take longer than 30 seconds. So the sheet, you'll break your sheet if you do. Google Sheets stores data in different formats depending on the nature of the data. When these values are used in custom functions, apps script, which is what we're working on. This is the app script itself. Actually treats them as the appropriate data type in JavaScript. I don't know if this will point us to the link. Oh yeah, it's fine. These are our data types in JavaScript, which is a number, a string, a boolean. Yeah, there are, I think, our major data. Are there any other data types that we need to know? What have we in JavaScript here? Null, undefined. So I wonder if we get those as well. Big int, string. Okay, so there is a few bits and bobs there. Yeah. Anyway, we've got a pointer to it telling us what it is. It's sort of like pointing to our types there, our data types. And one thing I noticed here was dynamic and weak typing. You know, JavaScript is dynamically typed and weak and flexible. Like, so this is something for Python users and also for JavaScript users. It's a dynamic language. I said we, but the languages are dynamic. There are strict languages. They're really convenient, and that's their popularity. Huge amount of popularity on them. But at the same point in time, if you build big projects, you've got to be careful that you don't accidentally overwrite a data type, because it will just let you do that because they're quite flexible. So dynamic works for you for speed and all of that, but if you've got big things, it could work against you. So you've got to be careful about that. And the languages do different things to navigate that. So JavaScript, that you can sort of like, you can do type checking and things like that, but actually one thing that you do as well is you could migrate to JavaScript's option to go to TypeScript, whereas Python has got type hinting. There's pros and cons of both of them. We're in JavaScript here, so we are, not TypeScript. So we just could be aware of that basically, and we could do type checking. Let's get on with it anyway. It's talking about the data types. We get the JavaScript data types and we've seen what they are. The JavaScript data types are here, foobar and baz, which is numbers, strings and booleans. And these types are the most common areas of confusion. Okay, times and dates. Okay, these types are the most common areas of confusion, and they are, and this is in all languages. Times and dates in sheets become a date object. So here we see a number. We know what a number looks like. That's number 42. Let me zoom in. There's our number. There's our string. We're quite happy with that. We're quite happy with the boolean. But we don't see what a date is or what a date looks like or what should a date look like. Should a date be a number or whatever? And do we even have a date here? No, I don't see a date over here. And nor we see it further down below, because I wonder even if I do a search for date. So Control F, date. Right, okay, it does have representation dates. When representing dates, best choice is the built-in date utility in JavaScript. So there is something in there, but let's just, I guess, go back. I don't know where to. Okay, fine, it's just at the top. That's cool. So there is a way of handling dates. If the spreadsheet and the script use different time zones, a rare problem, but it could happen, and it has happened to me, not on spreadsheets, but certainly in code, when you've got like British daylight savings time and things like that, and my code that was supposed to, like, if it runs across past 12 o'clock or whenever the clocks move forwards, it's all out of sync by an hour, and you miss an hour of like stuff and things like that. It jumbles itself out. But anyway, on that rare occasion, the custom function will need to compensate for that. So just something to bear in mind. Duration values in sheets will also become objects, but working with them can be complicated. We could click on it, look at it. Just bear in mind that we've got some things that are areas of confusion. We need to be careful. And here's another one. Percentage values in sheets become decimal numbers in app scripts. So I hate percentages, but we have to understand that 10% from our GCSE maths, so things that you learned when you were 10 years old, between 10 and 15 years old, hopefully, that 10% becomes 0.1. And we like to display 10% in spreadsheets because it's more simplistic for users, but in terms of, like, for mathematicians, they wouldn't touch a percentage, and for coders, they don't touch, they prefer to have the actual number itself because it's easier to work with. So 0.1 means 10%. There we go. Autocomplete. Google Sheets supports autocomplete for custom functions, much like built-in functions, and this is quite nice. This is brilliant, in fact, not just quite nice. This was the bit that I was playing with. As you type a function name in a cell, you will see a list of built-in and custom functions that matches what you enter, which is really nice if you can get that. If we can achieve that, which we already did with our custom functions will appear in the in this list if their script includes a JS doc at custom function tag. So it's mentioned here, and we went and copied this, but it's this bit here, right? This is important because if we put it in here, then this function here will show in our list when we start typing. So that meant that when we went in here and we started typing equals double, it's already ended up in the list over there. So it's really nice. And now if we remove that, I won't really just, I guess, take it from me, but if we remove this from here, if we sort of like comment this custom function out on the array function, I guess now, I wonder even if it gets seen or not. Well, I think it will get seen, but it just won't come up. But if I hit save and then go here and then do n equals array, it now no longer pops up in our list. The built-in ones popped up. So, and if I go back here, it was called, our function was called return array. Sorry, let me go back. So equals return array. And we're like, where is it in the list? It's not there. It's not there in the list. So I go back here and oh, it's commented out. Let's uncomment it, hit save, and then go back here and then do equals return array. And fantastic, it's popped up again in our list, which is perfect. And we also get all of the rest of the stuff if we comment it well, where we've got something in here, our number, and telling us what it needs to be and so forth, like so a doc string, and the input is number to double and so forth. So like a nice sort of like doc string that goes in here. I call it a doc string. I don't know what it's called in JavaScript. Let's have a look and see what it's called. But anyway, I guess it's the JS doc, the JavaScript doc. So it needs a JS doc tag. I'm going to click on that because there's probably other tags that are quite useful that I like. But here, for example, it's got at constructor. So everything with an at sign. This one is really, really useful, at param, because it's looking into the into the comment. This comment is like I'm going to call this comment a doc string because it's the equivalent of a doc string in Python. The comments are actually used in the hinting, so we see it. So it's not okay. They're not used in the actual code, but they're used in the hinting. So they like become important. And actually, there was something on Stack Overflow where, or I opened the question actually on Stack Overflow where in the integrated development environment, I wonder if it still does it actually. But if I make a doc string in Python, so def, so like a function, the doc string in one of the versions of Visual Studio Code turned the same color as a comment, and people were up in arms about it. Hello world. So they were like, this one turned green and this one turned green, and they were like, they're up in arms about it. And I was like, well, I like it all being green because it's just a comment. Well, they're like, well, it's not just a comment because it actually goes into other things. So for example, when you hover over it, it's telling you stuff. So it's a bit more. It goes into the documentation, and there are documentation builders that literally look on the functionality. So I'll get rid of this because it's not a Python coding course. It's a JavaScript thing over here, but that has the same thing where these at signs manifest with certain things, at least manifest themselves. It's telling you that it's a parameter here. So I'll keep that little tab open. But basically here it says at param number, input the number to multiply it. So, and it tells us what the return at return. So it gives us a good hint of what all of these are. So the question is let's like what happens if we add two numbers together. So like we'll go in here and we'll make a new function which is, again we'll comment it, add two numbers together, right? And we're going to need something like over here, which is an at param, and then it takes of type number, and our first number, which will be, say for example, x, which is the number to be the first number, and at, wonder why they let's keep the spacing consistent. Okay, at param, and then again it's of type number, y the second number, and then it also at return, and it will return back a number. Spell it right, otherwise it probably won't work. Return, and the sum of the two numbers. Right, and I wonder what else is there. Yeah, we need the custom function, so we'll take this, which is the at custom, because if we don't put the at custom function, then we wouldn't have, and we got like, then we got a function, so function, and then adder, adding two, oops, I use camel case, but I have to use this 2 numbers to be consistent with JavaScript. And then we've got like an X and a Y over there and our thing. And basically we need to have a return statement. Return, not return array. I should never have called this return, because every time I put return in, it's going to pop up with return array. I should put give return array or something like that. Oh, you know what? I'll leave it because I've got to change it in too many places. So I'll just I'll leave it there. I won't. But basically, we want to return x plus y. And I wonder if no, there's no hovering over it here. But if I hit save, and then we go back to our thing, and what did I actually call the function anyway? Adding 2 numbers. We'll just go here. So we do equals adding. We see that it pops up. Remember that it pops up because, where was it on here? Let's just go a bit over. We've got this at custom function thing written there. That's why it popped up. But also, when we tab into it, we can see, well, it says object and object actually. Why does it say object and object? I was expecting it to say number and number. Adding 2, so we'll go back and investigate that. But probably because I didn't docstring it correctly, I had a feeling. I don't know if that comma threw things out because it was reading it. So adding 2 numbers, tab. Yeah, okay, that comma threw things out. I had a feeling it might do, but it's telling us that the first thing that goes in is of type number, and the second thing is of type number. Adding 2 numbers together, x is the first number, so we want to get our first number x, and then comma. And then it goes across to y, and y is our second number. So it's quite beautiful. Like it prints all that stuff out. There we go. It's our second number, close bracket, return, and we get adding 2 numbers. Right, so something like that. So adding 2 numbers function, which added those 2 particular numbers. Okay, nothing special, but like it's given a great example of the docstring, and if we go over here and so like we can see our x and y and what they are and so forth. So really, really nice. Great. It actually makes like spreadsheeting like really. It's going to make it really, really useful. I can see this being pretty much as good as, if not better, than at least the older versions of Excel. It's better than probably even the modern, especially if you're a JavaScript coder. You've got to be loving this. In fact, if I was a JavaScript coder, it would be big motivation for me to probably not use Excel anymore. Although Excel's just adopted Python, so that's quite an interesting development. So Google Sheets and that, but because basically VBA has been an unsupported language for a while. It's still massively popular, but it's not grown as a language, so Microsoft has sort of abandoned it. VBA is amazing, but it got abandoned, so it's kind of like, I think now you can get Python in Excel, but any coding language, any code that you can put in inside of your spreadsheet is now increased. You know, whatever these functions are fantastic that you've got, like 400 functions, are really immense in power, but you now can do a lot more because you can customize it to whatever you want. So that's that, and that's the JS doc is great. It's really well. I like the JS docs more than I like the Python doc strings and comments in other languages. I just think they've nailed it. That language has done it really well. Like, welcome to put comments and tell me that they haven't, but I think they have. Advanced. Okay. Using Google Apps Script services, custom functions can call certain Google Apps Script service to perform more complex tasks. Okay. And this is the advantage of it, because our user-defined functions won't be able to do some of, I think, this stuff here. Can generate HTML, but cannot do, but it can do, like, it's going to be able to do some extra bits. URL fetch, I can see down there, or maps. So can calculate directions. So it can't display an image, but it can calculate. So it's interesting. It's got like what looks like powerful features. But anyway, apart from those things, it can do our other user-defined things that a function might not give us. One of the 400 functions might not give us. For example, a custom function can call the language service to translate an English phrase into Spanish. Now, I don't know if that now exists or not, but there's one example of what we could do. I wonder, open link. It does give us some stuff, Spanish there. So like, well, I don't know, even bang it in. We're going to put a translator straight in here. I've never done this, right? Do we need to do anything with it? I don't know. It might fail. Let's just go back there. Unlike most other types of scripts, custom functions can never ask users to authorize access to personal data. Consequently, they can only call services that do not have access to personal data, specifically the following. Okay. So, I don't know, we'll see if this one can work or can't work. Let's just do this anyway. It might fail. I'm just call this one here, like, this is something like capital A lambda. For a throwaway. So it's a lambda function in Python. It's like a throwaway or an arrow function. An arrow function is actually what the JavaScript term is. But anyway, let's just go back here because I'm just going to go on to wherever it was. Where did it open that piece of thing? This language service, right? And so we go back here and we're going to make translator. So function, and then I keep doing underscores, translator. My translator, right? And it's going to take in some argument here. Now, and then it'll look something like this. And I'm just going to take this entire doc string here. Once you start building things, you get faster and faster because you can like replicate some of the things here. So an attempt to translate, we'll call it an attempt to translate this, and here will be our, I believe this is just a string, so input, right, the string to translate. And the bit that I did actually, I'm going to get this copy and paste straight in there because otherwise I'm going to have to keep going back. I'm going to copy this, go to our custom code, kind of like stick it in here somewhere like that. Tab it because we want our proper indentation, and we don't need a second number. Over here we're going to have an input. I wonder if input was recognized from the above function or if it was recognized here from the doc string, but it doesn't really matter. And then we're going to return string. The nice thing about this is when I put string here as our return value, and so also here when our adding things, I actually said return number. I wonder if it told us return number back. So function added, so now adding two numbers over here, F2, it's like I'm in it now. No, it didn't say what the return was, sadly. That's a bit disappointing. It's like you might want a return, like to know what your return type was as well. So like just down below X, Y, and then select the return thing down below. We didn't get that. Maybe my syntax was not correct for it. But I would have thought that if I did return and then put in the type, that it might give us that, but it didn't. So I wonder if I remove that and hit save and then go back and then go out of it and then do adding two numbers, that if I go to the, I guess a little question mark here, it still didn't say the return type. I thought, like, I would have thought that you'd have wanted to have that in that format menu, send feedback, enable formula, enable name file. Okay, no. So I'm going to keep that return. I don't know what like Maybe there's a way of getting it in or not, because this is kind of like more like the standard docs ways of doing it, because you know I copied that from above. But I just think it's great practice to know what you come in and what you're you want to know you want to tell. At least if I come back in 3 weeks time, I won't remember what this was. So I want to tell myself, the user, whoever, like, you know, the next coder, what's coming back out of that function, so they know how it works. Whatever. Anyway, so this is going to invoke language app.translate. I wonder if that was already there. So sort of like language app. Yeah, it is dot translate. Okay, fine. So it's all there. Nice. It's built in. Really, really nice. This is a good piece of work. Anyway, this is a test. So in fact, we're not even going to put this as a test, because we can take our inputs over there, and our Spanish now is going to be that, and logger.log is Spanish, but actually even better than that is we can return Spanish. I don't even know where logger.log goes. Well, I think logger.log, I wonder if basically we do my translator like this and then put hello world, so something like this, and then hit run over here, because these are our functions. And we can actually jump to them as well, like double me, return array. No, okay. Why is it not doing anything? Maybe that's because we want to select the function to run. Okay, interesting. I'll just leave that. Okay, execution log. I'm going to hit run, because I think that's the way that we run a function. This bit here now is, this is throwing an error over here. Is that because I didn't close this one out with a semicolon? Yeah, it is. Okay. I tend to leave, I do really, really bad JavaScript because I try to leave out the semicolons as much as possible. I don't like semicolons. They're not necessary for many things, and I only put them in where they're necessary, which is, some people will complain about that and say you're not a good coder. Anyway. But let's just run this then. So run, because we're going to get a debugger and an execution log. I'm presuming it goes in. Yeah, here you go. Hola Mundo. There we go. Hello world. I'm presuming that's hello world in Spanish. The Spaniards that are watching, because it's got international reach here, can tell me if that worked or not. But we got the my translator thing working, so that's quite nice. And I wonder actually if this is underscore here, because that's now private. I'd need to call this with an underscore, but we wouldn't see. So we could run this code in our debugger. So I presume, yeah, my translator's there, funnily enough. But if I do run, we should still get it, right? Yeah, Hula Mundo, but we won't see it outside. So that's also an example of like private things. Like I don't mind the my translator to be there, but I'm loving this. This is really powerful. We'll take this out. We won't see the like this won't run basically. This is running internally when we run it here. I think it won't run, because all that's going to happen is that these custom functions, when we do at custom function, these are what gets imported. So now we can do some translation. Amazing. Like this is now a translation app video as opposed to anything else. So we'll put in some English. Like that, English, right? So we'll put in hello world, right? And then we get back our Spanish. And it will be equals my, no, it's not getting it. So why not? Let's go back here. We've got the at custom function. Why does my translator not work? Maybe I didn't save it. Saving project, and then equals my translator. Excellent. And I go here, and okay, it doesn't tell. Oh, it does. So it does. Bit ugly that the when you've written something down below. I'll try that again. Maybe equals my translator tab. There we go, and we can see my translator. We take in a string, so our string is going to be this thing here. Oops, I typed over it. Equals my translator tab. It's telling us to take a string. Our string is going to be the thing above, and attempt to translate. And it will actually, will we comment that would be translate to Spanish, but it's got the string to translate over here, so we can select reference this cell, hit return, and we get Hello Mundo, and we can do other things like English Spanish, and we can do something like Darren now speaks Spanish. This is great, this is. There we go. Darren habla español. I don't even know if we get a speaking thing. Maybe we can make it talk as well and get some text out of it. So this is quite powerful. Control S. I like that. I'm saving that. And something like I always use lowercase for everything. I haven't I try to I'm just a lowercase person for coding. The code below will translate input to the log. In Spanish. Now we could make, you can already see where this is going, right? Because I could take this caps lock, so I hit the caps lock by accident. We could take this function and I'll go back here. I'll keep all of the junk bits down, I'll leave it down below, but basically I'm going to do my better translator, right? And straight away we can have something like, and I don't know if you've got keyword arguments, but our next argument here will be like language, right? And here then we can take our string, which is the string to calculate, or the, I should actually put not string, but I'll paste that there. Let's get rid of some of these. It's not really string, but let's talk in English. Sentence to calculate, and we'll go over here and put the sentence to calculate, which is that here is the language, right? So string and then lang will be the language to translate to. There we go. So, okay, everything's assumed in English at the moment, and then we can get Spanish. Now, we can see at the moment it's grayed out, but that's because we haven't used it anywhere. So, well, even in here, we want something like, so, I don't know, like, I wanted to do multi-line parameters to sort of like explain it, but because we'll probably get to that. ES is Spanish, right? I don't know what, for example, like German is or some other language. So let's just go to that language service, language app. Maybe I'll do something like in here. Two-letter Google language 2-letter codes. I can, hopefully, let's see what comes back. These GPT things are great. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I don't know if we need all of them, but maybe we'll have a bit of Spanish, a bit of French, a bit of German. Okay, stop talking now. We don't want all of yours. Sometimes you've got to put up with the nonsense that comes after it. Oh, it's not nonsense. It's good stuff like language codes, but I just want to get some of this in here. So, you know, we'll go down there. That's more than enough. I'm only doing this because I actually want to test this bit out. ES for Spanish is something like this. each one of these, kind of just to be consistent. They don't need the star, but I'm going to put it in. I don't even know how this is going to look, which is why I'm putting it in Arabic. So something like language codes. Now if I hit save, so we've got the My Better Translator app, which is here. If I do equals My Better Translator, it's kind of like listed them. It hasn't done a great job. Maybe if I put dashes in front of them, it will use the bullet points. So possibly. So it's got the sentence to translate in a language. I don't know if this will work or not, but this is a what is it, a markdown. So this is a bullet list in markdown. I could be wasting my time here, but we could have a numbered list or something. Which is equals My Better Translator now. No, it didn't really do that much. Did it order it even? No. Okay. That bit here didn't really help. But we'll keep it in anyway for now, because it's just nice to have it in there. Language codes. If I've got a colon there, what would happen? Escape. I need to do Control S to make sure that we saved it. Equals My Better Translator. I just want to get the docstring to look nice. It doesn't. Okay, whatever. But let's take in our English, and then we need to have one of our codes. And we can see that we got our codes here, but we don't want Spanish because we've got Spanish already. So let's get a bit of Arabic. Arabic. There we go. In fact, the language here is sort of like, we could have a drop-down code, which is X. So it's still translating it to Spanish because we didn't actually use the code yet. So language, which is AR for Arabic, for example. So we're now going to point this over to this cell over here. And we just got to make sure that this function here is actually pointing to lang, right? So lang tab, great, autocomplete and everything. The editor's great. The one thing I couldn't find, because I went straight into this, is I was hunting around for dark mode, like in project settings or something. Like I couldn't find the dark mode, so everything's done in bright mode. So I have to blind you. Like I usually use a dark editor. Is there a setting, like there doesn't seem to be any sort of like deploy, new deployment, manage test, Google Apps, no, like support, that's an account, that's my account, but that won't help. Doesn't look like, if anyone knows if there's a dark mode setting, it'd be really useful. I like this editor though, it's quite simplistic, but fast is why I like it. Because when you do like when I did this like language, you see it pops up really fast. The IntelliSense is brilliant. I'm a massive fan of good IntelliSense, so it's won me over. In fact, the IntelliSense on this is nearly as good as, if not better in a way, although it's more customizable than here in VS Code, where like if I was here, sort of like, and I did root. Oh, this is it's also fast as well, so I guess it's okay. This IDE is way more complete. So here's a bugbear, which is this app script should be a bit more customized. We'll have dark mode and a couple more customizations. I know they want to keep it simple as well. One of the things is simplicity, but going blind because it's so bright isn't like a great simplicity add. So having a dark mode would be useful. Like, okay, don't let people amend the coloring systems and things like that, but at least have dark and light mode to give users an option. But whatever, we've got the lang now, and in our sheet we might want to have, look, it's already done the Arabic for us. So what I might actually do is X that there, and I wonder, no, I'll X that there and paste that there, because basically we can link this one here. We'll do an F4 to make it a whatever, always pointing, copy and paste here. Now it's going to throw an error, but the error is because we haven't put anything here. But we're going to take one of our other languages, and if we go in here and do F2 and sort of like go into our thing here, it's going to tell us the other ones. Now we've kind of got it. Hindi again. I'll do Japanese. JA for Japanese. Copy that. We can see that this one here is, for example, Japanese, and now we get some Japanese. So now we've got Arabic, Japanese in our language list down here. So I've become a world translator straight away. And what I'm going to do now is be very greedy and go over to this thing here and nick all of them. Why not? Copy that and paste these. Where is it? On there, paste special values only, and then in fact take equals the left. And you can see why these functions are really useful, these built-in ones, but the left hand, the 2 over there. So now we've just got all of those, and control return does a whole lot of them. And then if we take this thing again, well, actually we'll rebuild it, which is equals my better translator. We can see how fast this is. We can take our input string, we will lock it, F2. In fact, let's make our language now a new language, so our string to translate. So sentence to translate, right? Which will be something like Darren now speaks many languages. Here we go. So because I didn't want to point up to just speaking Spanish, because I'm better than just speaking Spanish now. X, I'll put it over here, B, and X this one and put it over here. I'll leave that over there. Okay, fine. So now we do equals the my better translator, and then our input language over here, and F4 to lock it, because we always will point to that cell, and then go over here for each language and hit return. And why did that get an error message? Okay, probably because that's got English there. Probably can't go from English to English. I don't know. Let's see if we get and paste that one. Okay, yeah, we couldn't go from English to English. So let's just. I wonder if I can remove rows here. Yeah, you can. Delete row. There we go. So we do it all with the keyboard shortcuts. Delete row. Do you see how I did that recalculation? Copy. Paste. It's Control V. You can't do return. You can't do. And now I speak all of these different languages, right? So this is English here. I could have a starting language and an ending one. We could even make it more dynamic. We can see how powerful this is getting, like within seconds, right? So this now here, I will make it, well, I should sort of like, I need to move it onto another sheet just because it's getting, like, I'll put languages. I'll make a languages sheet. There we go. There we go, languages. And Control Shift page up does that. And we'll just literally take all of this, we'll exit out, go over here, and Control V over there. Hope it all works. Yay, it does. Good. Because then we can like extend this column, and that's like our input cell over here. And there we go. And these are all of our languages now. But the thing about that was I can make an even better translator, because we can translate from any language to any language. So we can go back to our my custom thing and put, so this is translate from English to any language, any supported language. Right. which is we could have the same function, right, over here and translate from any supported language to any other supported language, right? In which case we would need to have another argument in here. So I'm going to take these codes out now because I don't think we need them per se. What we could do is put a link to the language codes. So I don't know where. We'll let the user figure those out because supported. Let's have a look. Supported. I wonder if that one did give us. Does it give us no references? No, it doesn't. Google Bard does give us references, but I'm not going to use Bard for now. But copy and select paste those at that thing over there and see what we get. There we go, which is over here, and we can sort of like take this and because I reckon I don't know if we can do all of them, but these are the ISO codes for the languages, and we can go back to our custom function and translate any supported language, and we can do something like this. For the language for supported languages, right? So there we go. And so we got input, we've got lang. Now we have to have like language start and language end or something like that. So or input language, output language, like whatever we want. So we'll call it lang out, right? Which is now here, this would be lang out, and this one here would be lang out. You can see where we're going with this, right? And this one here, we're now going to need a lang in, which will be a preceding argument here. So comma lang underscore in, right? Which means that we can now use, and we want to have a lang in there as well. So in our doc string to tell us, so before we have an output, we want to have an input. So lang in the language to translate from, and then something like EN is English as an example, right? I don't know if I can use commas or not. I'm going to keep the comma out for now. Let's put the comma in and see what happens. I don't know if it'll break it or not. We couldn't put the comma over here. It didn't like that in the doc string. So my full translator, right? So now we've got a different sort of translator, and here our lang in is now going to get itself over here, so that, and that means that we now need to tell it. So, and I'm going to call this result now, result string. Okay, and we can log to the console the result string if we wanted to, but more importantly we need to return the result string. And I know that I didn't change all of these things here, but it's a bit arbitrary because you know, I could have put result in here everywhere, but I won't edit it for now because it's fine, it's consistent. As long as it's consistent, it works. Although, yeah, I don't think you really want Spanish per se because now it's language. So I'm tempted to kind of like change it now that I've said that, because I probably should in the given language. And here I'll put sort of like result string again. I think I can use that everywhere. Result string, copy that, and then the result string here is going to be that, and the result string here is going to be that. So we're now talking about all of that all the time. So it's not generic just to Spanish. This is generic to any language that we want it to go in, because we want our doc string to look kind of like nice. So when we go on here and we sort of like go to our function in some way and hover over it, that's a better way of hovering over it, that we can see translate any language. Okay, I need to edit that as well, or do I have to hit save? Translate English to any supported language. The language. Okay, that was our example language. Okay, fine. So just hit save there, go back. I think if we hover over it now, so let's just get our version here. The my translator. We wanted to get the my better translator, wasn't it? Go over there. Example, my better that translate from English to any supported language, and then input the language, and then all of the rest of it. So the language that was there. Where was our second argument actually? And then lang. Okay, the language translate to, and I should put EG, ES is Spanish. So over here, so like, where is it? Example, right? So something like that, basically. Just to put an example for the user. So we click on that, then we click on that. We can see what the input is. We click on the next one, and we can see what the language is, and it says example with Spanish and so forth. So a better constructed doc string. But anyway, we've now got our third version of it, which is we can have an input language. We can have an output language. We can have a string. So and it'll be something like Darren now translates from one language to the next. There we go. Exclamation mark. And it should be, that should be input language here. And we can take in any language. So we won't do, well, sorry, I have to take in English at the moment because I don't know what the Spanish of that is or what any other one is. And then let's get back some German, for example. And then our result will be, okay, and if this works, let's just go back and have a look at all of this. But we're going to do the my full translator, which is going to take a language in and a language out and the input string and do the whole thing and give us a result string. So I think that should work. Translate from any supported language to any other supported language. Again, this is sort of like an example, i.e. so something like this, and again over here, brackets, so something like that, Control S, and we're going to do, this is going to be called my full, this is called my full translator, and everything's there. I don't know why it says the sum of two numbers. Why did I do that? Okay, return, and the that. It's because I've been copying code. We've got to be careful also when you do copy code that you do it, you edit everything possible so it's correct if you are going to duplicate it anywhere else. This is building, because afterwards I might want to remove this because it's kind of like redundant than my better one, because I built a better performance thing here that's got lang in and out. So it swings and roundabouts with all of this. But if I hit Control S now, and we're going to use the my full translator, which is equals my full translator, and the input string is going to be this string, and then the language in is going to be this language, and then the language out is going to be this language, and hopefully we go from English to German, which it looks like it does. But even better than that is, I think that we can go from like each language, we can move. Let's go to Russian now, from German to Russian. So we can do equals my, and you see something like where I put my in front of everything, it's kind of like consistent now. If I keep sticking my in front of everything, I know where to look for my user-defined functions. So you don't have to put my, you could put like your name or whatever you wanted to do, but I think it's clearer. So I quite like that because I can find my functions quickly. So I'm going to go back to my full translator, and I'm going to put in this string now. So, and it should be, we'll see if we can get back to English again. So that's the string we want to convert. And then we're going now from German. So that was in German. And we are going to Russian. Close brackets, return. Now we can get Russian. I'm going to X this over here and put it over there because it's quite nice and cute now. Because we don't even need to write the word result. X. We can go from any language to any language, and I'm presuming that we can go, we'll do one more, we'll do like a language roundabout. We'll go to Portuguese now. So Portuguese, because I just saw that on the list, PT, right? So copy this and paste it. Right, so now we've got Portuguese. We're going from Russian to Portuguese, right? But now we'll go from Portuguese back to English. So hopefully it's going to say Darren now it's going to like repeat us a sentence, but I'm not sure if it does or doesn't. It's got the Darren right at least. Paste. Yeah, there we go. So we've done a for loop. In a way, I'm going to say it's like a complete test. That might be like, you know, the more that you go through, like the better your test. So that's quite good. Well done us. I pat myself on the back for being an expert and making a language translating app by accident in JavaScript in the middle of a live coding session that I didn't expect to do at the 2-hour mark. So that's great. And let's continue a little bit, see what else there is. So I've done one thing here. I just picked this one out because it had language there. I literally clicked on it and we went on a sidetrack for like the last 20 minutes or something. But we've done a lot there. Unlike most other types of app scripts, custom functions never ask us to authorize. Okay, fine, we went through that. If your custom function throws you an error, you do not have permission, call X service. The service requires the authorization because that's what would happen. I think I did get that once or twice in certain things. To use a service other than those listed above, create a custom menu that runs AppSheet function. Instead of writing a custom function, a function that is triggered from a menu will ask a user for authorization if necessary, and consequently use all the AppScript services. Okay, sharing. Custom functions that start out bound to the spreadsheet they were created in. This means that custom functions written in one spreadsheet can't be used in other spreadsheets unless you use one of the following methods. Okay, this is kind of like talking about exporting, possibly. Click extension AppScript to open up the script editor, then copy the script text from original spreadsheet and paste it into the script editor of another spreadsheet. Okay, so that's what you've got to do. Make a copy of the spreadsheet that contains the custom function by clicking File, Make a Copy. When the spreadsheet is copied, any scripts attached to it are copied as well. So it looks like, at the moment at least, this one comes with this one. And if I want to make a new sheet, I can't just naturally use these. I'd have to copy this out and paste it into my new sheet, which isn't as good. So I can't export things yet, at least to my knowledge, on there. That's at least what this is telling me. Publish the script as a Google Sheets editor add-on. I think that's probably the way to do it, and we need to sort of like get to doing that. I'm scared to do that live because I reckon I might fail. Let me click on it anyway. If I fail, I fail. Already 2 hours in. So building editor add-ons. I want to do this. I think this might be a separate session actually, because we did the language thing that was quite long. And also I see a warning about collaborators, because it might go into collaborations and passwords and things like that. In which case, if it does, I'm just going to be careful about the video, because we can't put passwords and stuff on there. So anyway, I think that's that. And then optimization, let's just have a look at this, because this looks interesting. We do want to optimize, that's for sure. Each time a custom function is used in a spreadsheet, Google Sheets makes a separate call to the apps. That's probably why it's telling us to the app script server. That's probably why it was that half-second delay that we visually noticed. If your spreadsheet contains dozens or hundreds or thousands of custom function calls, this process can be quite slow. Don't like that. VBA, so it's Excel VBA, did never had that issue. So I mean, you could go to town with user-defined functions. You really could. So that's consequently, if you plan to use custom functions multiple times in a larger range of data, consider modifying the function so that it accepts a range. Okay, so that's one thing that you can. It's got ways around it. You can take in a range. We've outputted a range, but we haven't taken a range in, although we know what a range looks like, because we took because we created one in our range thing, which was this one over here, which was these ranges here. We outputted a range. I'm going to call it the name, so return array. Right, this one here returned an array, and the array that came back, although we don't collect, again in Microsoft Excel, it's kind of like highlights the array, but here we just have to, like in Google it doesn't, so in Google Sheets it doesn't, but we've got to know the array size, but it gives us an array of that much back, and we were able to shape the array in our functions. So, but there's array inputs, and we need to get our head around that. And actually, here we go, because this one does the conversion, and the way that the conversion is done, by the looks of it, is return array. Okay, I could make this a bit, maybe a bit clearer, but you know, I'd argue that this is probably, someone's going to argue that this is good JavaScript. If we go back to this, because we want an array input as well, so I'm just going to go here and do something like language section. I'm going to call it the language section. There we go. And I'll move this my translator. I know my translator belongs in the language section. That's fine. And where was it? So over here, we want to take an array in. So something like this. And now we'll call it my double. I keep doing underscores. Double array. Right, and it takes in an input. But I just, because this bit here is quite large, I'm just going to put it here. Basically the result, just so that it's clear what it is basically equal to an array, right? Dot is array, okay, which is a method, and then here we've got our input, and okay, it's got the input map thing and all the rest of it, but I will put it like that because I'm going to copy this whole lot here. X. Sometimes it's a little bit clearer to do this because then we want to just return result. Oh, I think I have to do var result. There we go. If you don't do var is a local variable. Right, var result. I'm leaving out the semicolon, but the my double array thing, I don't think I called any of the other ones my double array. I called it like double me and things. So okay, my double array. But now it looks like it takes this array and it checks if it is an array and it gets the input. And then it's got, I don't even know what the question mark is and the syntax of it, so that's a bit annoying because I'm copying it blindly. But it takes in, well, when I mentioned these arrow functions, it's using an arrow function here, which is basically, let's go back. This thing here that goes after the map is one of these arrow functions. This bit here is an arrow function. And it's actually an arrow function of rows that goes to, is it another, that's another function basically, or is it row cell that goes to cell? I'm not 100%, I don't want to describe it incorrectly, so I've got to be careful about that. But what it is, I'm assuming that this will work, it's going to take in the rows and the columns, and it's going to double all of the values, so we can do something like, so this is now taking an array, we can take it as a given that it's taking in rows and columns and doing this operation on them, which is multiplying each cell by 2. I don't like the map thing, but I'm guessing it's used because it's the most efficient way, which is basically here would be equals my double array. Why is that slow? My double array, and it takes in an input, which is an array, and I'm guessing it gives us back double of everything, which is what it does. So this function would call my, I'm going to actually just take the text from here. But also again, we can see multiplies the input value by 2, but it's actually for an array now. My double array, there we go. And if we just go back here, return the input multiplied by 2. Here it's actually given us star return, the input multiplied by 2. When I went on that, it actually gave us a return value. Did it actually? Oh no, that was in the top. Multiplies the input value by 2. Is that? Does it come out in the about actually? Multiplies the input value by 2. I wonder, was that in the? No, that was a bit at the top. Of an array by 2. But actually, sorry, we didn't even need to do that because it tells us here in the app param docstrings that we can either have a number now or an array, and that's what this question mark I presume refers to, or something like it's taking the number or the array. But let's just go back. I'll hit Control S because I think that was sufficient. If I go there, yeah, it does. Sorry, I added like it's here in the docstring, which is telling us it's either a number or it's an array, which can be an array of numbers. So, and if we didn't have an array of numbers, I guess it's going to throw some sort of hissy fit error. So 1, 2, oops. So 1, 2, hello, and 4, which is now equals my, and then double array, and then of our array over here, and hit return, and we get this. Oh, that's quite nice. It only threw the error message on the actual error. So there we go, little message. Hello you. I'm glad. Well done. Are you learning? Question mark. I wonder how much. I wonder how much the Kingfisher actually watched of this. I can see how much the Kingfisher watched. Oh, he's only logged in. I can't see. but long enough ago. So thumbs up to the Kingfisher. If I can do it, I wonder, can I do a little comment there? No, I can't. I could report it. I can't. I won't report it. That wouldn't be nice. So over here we've got input array. We've got our input list and our output. And our outputs aren't harmed. So the JavaScript, just kind of like the one that failed, it goes through. It went through these things sequentially. Is it the array.isArray input map? Probably the map function actually. So it goes through these things sequentially. I never use functions like map. I do like for loops and stuff, although map might be a more efficient way of doing it in JavaScript. But it's going to go through each item in the array and return input multiplied by 2. But where it fails, it just threw back this error message here. Result was not a number. And that was sufficient. Kind of like, and this is the dynamic part of the coding bit in JavaScript, which is that the result over here is just whatever is returned, and if whatever is returned is an error, it isolates it as just being an error. So that's cool. And I think let's just go on to anything else. So that's great. So we've got an array in, we can get an array in, we can make an array out. In fact, it returns us back an array. So not only does it take an array in, it gives an array back. So we can do all types of input, and we can put multiple inputs in. We were able to do a translator. Leo, if you just watching, I did a language translator over here, and you can put in any language. I'll do another column here. I wonder if I can do a paste straight away, but when I get the error messages, because I've got to point this to the right places. So I've got to make sure that I point everything to the right places. So that's back at C, and that one is also at C, and then it will work again. The Kingfisher is learning Java. The Kingfisher is learning JavaScript. And let's just do that for all of the languages, all of the things. Let me just lock that cell actually. So that's an F4 to lock the cell. And we now get, our little translation in, this is our input thing, in German, in Russian, in Portuguese, and back again in English. The Kingfisher is learning JavaScript. So that's how you say it in all of the languages. I wonder if we can get a language that, no, okay, fine. Our list of ISO languages. Let's pick one that wasn't on the original list, where our list came from, the GPT, which was this one here. Urdu. Let's just see Hebrew and HE. Let's stick in Hebrew, because that list was just a generic list. So back to Hebrew again. So we can just keep going doing this. We're going from English to Hebrew, and then there we go. We've got the Kingfisher is learning JavaScript in Hebrew, and I don't know, whatever other languages that we want to go through. But we're back. So we did languages, we've done arrays, we've gotten values in, values out, doc strings that we've covered. So doc strings we covered. I think, what else is there? Let's have a look. Okay. That's that map thing that went through. Okay, the above approach uses the map method of JavaScript's array object to recursively call double on every value of the two-dimensional array of cells. It returns a two-dimensional array that contains results. This way you can call double, because it's better explaining it reading this than me trying to explain what the map function does. This way you can call a double just once, but have calculated it for a large number of cells at once. As shown in the screenshot below. So you could do this double function loads of times, which is something actually in a way that I've done here. Right? I've just run this function many times, but this is what they're saying is this is inefficient. Really, if I'm going to be doing this kind of thing in multiple translations, that I probably want to do that at the back end inside of this piece of code, pass in an array, and maybe even use the map function to pass out back an array of values. If I want to calculate arrays, I should avoid doing multiple calls to the same function. Okay. Now it's fine if you do 100, I don't know, 200, 500, it'll be okay. But when you start to go into thousands of functions, that would be deemed to be bad practice. So it's one of the practice things about it. So that were all the efficiency things. Similarly, a custom function, the custom function below efficiently fetches live content from the internet and uses a two-dimensional array to display 2 columns of results with just a single function call. If each cell required its own function call, the operation would take considerably more time, since the app script server would have to download and pass the XML feed each time. And I'm not going to compare it completely to what I can say, like parallel and in sequence processing, but basically in Python everything goes in order. So like blocking code and unblocking code is probably the way to do it, or asynchronous programming in synchronous programming. So in a way, like imagine that you do a call to the server and your call takes a length of time and you have to wait for the next one. So like a queue, so like you've got like this length of time and you've got this other length of time and you just keep on repeating it, and that's kind of like the inefficiency in a way that this is talking about, not completely. Whereas what you want to do, if you know that you're going to be doing these multiple calls, is why not just make all of the calls at the same time, right? And the length of time that all of these blue calls are going to take, the maximum length is actually the biggest length of any of these. Whereas here, it's the sum of, for the red ones, it's the sum of all of these. So the red ones that are sequential are just going to take longer. So that's kind of like what it's sort of like referring to in a way. You want to make all your calls and then return the result back as a list. It's going to be way more efficient. I wonder if we can even try this. We could do internet calls. I don't know if this will work, but maybe let's just do, this will be the finishing up, which is a new sheet, and I'll call it web calls. I don't know what to call it, web calls. And here in our, and I don't even know here, for example, could I have made, well, I think I can rename, make a copy, delete, like make more of these. I won't do it for now, but that, you know, we can leave that for another section. But something like web calls, right? So something like this, where we take, where was it, this example function here, and bang it straight into here. It's got all of the doc strings already for it. It's got that custom function thing that was there. It's got whatever it's returning. It didn't have an input that goes in here, but that's because it's going to the G Suite developers. I don't even know if this works, but basically now we can get blog posts. So, and I'm going to put in here, the only thing that I'm going to change on this is going to do get, so I'm going to turn it into my get blog post, just because I can find it quicker. And we can see here already also like my translator, my full, my this, my that. So, you know, it kind of like picks those things up. But I'll call it, if I call it that, then I can find it in the sheet. So I'll hit Control S. It returns back an array. So let's just see what comes back. So equals my, and then it was the get blog posts, and we can see show title and date for the first page of posts on the developer's thing. So my get blog posts. It's got that little about section, and hit return. And we get back an array. Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. It's like works off the bat. Fantastic. So, and this was over here. So I actually just copied this out because I don't want to get the typo in here. But basically, this colon. So that worked. This is really nice because quite often when I do these things, by hour number 2.5, by hour number even like by minute 30, I've normally crashed and burned several times. We've got some amazing stuff that's coming out of here, that's really going to be extremely useful in JavaScript in the Google Sheets. So great bit of power for Google Sheets in there with some custom functions. We understand a lot about how we can use them, how we can docstring them, and some of the behavior of them. I'm wondering about being able to share some functions in some way, make a central library and then always reference it. One way of doing it is creating an app. That seems to be the Google way of doing it, like create this app. And I don't know if you put it in the App Store even, or how it comes about. There was a section on that. So there's a few different branches to go to as to like what you can do. So one was the app thing, and I can't even remember the other one, but the languages. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff. So I might branch out and do some extra videos on that. There is Microsoft Excel's version. Now they've got Python in Excel. But this has always been around, to be fair, and this is looking quite powerful. So yeah, we've got all of that stuff. We've come to the end. These techniques can be applied to nearly any custom function that is used repeatedly throughout a spreadsheet, although the implementation details will vary depending on the function's behavior. So just some ways to be inefficient, some notes. They're quite helpful doing this. Some things, ask a question on Stack Overflow, there's some other stuff there. The bit that I wanted to get back to, well, one of the things actually that we did, I think we addressed it in here, was custom function. This bit here, let me enlarge it. A custom function, we haven't affected cells around it yet. We're just told that we can't, and I wanted to do an example of that, but I don't know yet how to write. Oh, I do know how to write to a cell, or at least get a cell, but we'll leave that for another section. And the other bit that I wanted to leave maybe for the other section was over here. Where was it on our bit? There wasn't any of this stuff. Oh yeah, it was this bit here. We had all of these, so maybe investigate HTML. We've had to generate some HTML, but I can't display it. Lock works, but not particularly useful in custom function. Okay, maps can calculate directions. Maybe have a go at that. Spreadsheets. Read only, can use most get methods but not the set method, can open other spreadsheets. I think that this is reading data. This is kind of like referring to it. I just don't think that you can write to cells. I don't think it actually will even give you that functionality. What did it actually say on there? You can't affect other cells. Yeah, okay, fine. I don't even think it gives you that functionality, so I might even delete that because it doesn't give you that option. As in, like, in the Excel version of it, you could like change other cells from a cell, but since it doesn't give you, I'm not sure it gives you that option, I remove it because we're safe from that anyway. It's much more developed in that sense. It's been thought, well, they've had more years to think it out. And yeah, that's really it. So I'll leave it there. I know this was a long video. I should have asked in the beginning, but leave a thumbs up, like, follow, send, whatever. If you've got any comments or questions or something that you want to add on there, it'd be really, really useful to know. And if there's something in particular that you want to find out at this level, let me know, and you know, I might try to make a video on it. And I think we'll leave it at that. That'll be the end. And yeah, thanks for